you walk in, they intentionally put a poster on the wall saying that, this is the origin story of the company. And Jack and Cindy created this company in 1993, and they named it after their two daughters, Tina and Tiffany. Similar to that origin story, they have a purpose behind it. Similar to how T&T is saying that this is how a good Asian grocery shop should look like, we are also saying we are putting a stake on the ground saying that this is what excellence looks like. Hello, welcome back to this channel, and today we are going to talk about a Asian grocery shop called T&T coming from Vancouver, Canada. And they just opened a new shop in Bellevue, Washington. My parents and I checked it out after we came back from the Christmas vacation in a very serene San Juan items. So I went from the place with the least amount of people to the place with a lot of people. And this review is more on what I learned and why I like it so much. T&T Asian supermarket is by far the best supermarket that I have been to. The line was only like 15 minutes, and people who are over 60 years old can actually get in. So my parents got in immediately. Upon entering the store, it is very clean. It just opened. But it is also very bright, and it just gives you a very happy vibe. I also noticed that when people are coming out of the supermarket, people were extremely happy. And the fact that there is a line for a supermarket and the fact that people are happy makes me, pique my curiosity. When I walked in, on the left-hand side, there is a wall of words coming from the CEO. So the story of T&T is that in 1993, Jack and Cindy opened this Asian supermarket or Asian grocery store in Vancouver, Canada, the Canada's gateway to Asia. Back in the day, there was no supermarket, and you have to go to the butcher shop, you have to go to the vegetable shop, and people were carrying these bags, and they want to create the equivalent of Walmart for the Asian community. And at that time, Cindy was a previous bookkeeper, and Jack was doing the import business. So they opened this thing, and over the many years, they became the largest Asian grocery shop in Canada. In 2009 or so, they got bought by a private equity firm called Loblaws. Now the CEO is Tina. T&T. T actually stands for Tina and Tiffany. Those are the two daughters of Jack and Cindy. Apparently, they also have a brother, but they did not name that after their brother. Anyway, so the words on the wall, they have the English version and the Chinese version. And I can read both. And then they were saying that they opened the store because Cindy was looking to create something that will make the immigrants in North America feel like they could taste something from back in China. They are technically Taiwanese immigrants. Now, I heard a bunch of good things, and then I went. So one of my direct reports said, oh yeah, I went there by myself over the weekend, and I got some of the hot foods from kind of the buffet style hot food section. And it was really good. It's almost like I was transported back to China, and I almost cried after tasting the food. Taste is one of your most primitive functions, and so you always get transported back to your childhood when you taste food that is similar to what you taste as a child, and regardless where you are. And so that's the magic they were trying to create. Now, this is really funny because my parents, they're like the experts in grocery shopping. So they know exactly what prices are accurate for which items. And they were telling me that most things in T&T are actually cheaper than what they usually shop, which is magical, right? It's almost like they surprise the novice, who's me, who don't do any grocery shopping, and they also impress the experts. Now, you can see that I'm creating this video because I see a lot of parallels between what they do and what is considered a good business. And that's why I'm just very impressed with what they do. Okay, so my parents think that, the prices are cheap. I was like, wow, this is amazing. They have way better selection than anything I have ever seen. And the selection is just like, it looks good. It caters to the 21st century, Chinese Americans. It is high quality. And according to my parents, it is relatively affordable. Some items are more expensive, but most of the time, on average, it is cheaper, which is amazing. It has all kinds of items that you couldn't find anywhere else, like Peking duck. You can come. We bought one of those and we roasted it. And the food section from the hot food section, kind of like the hot food section of Whole Foods equivalent, is amazing. We had a really, really nice Christmas, but I think this was actually one of the highlights of our trip, which is my parents are actually happier here than going to like Disneyland. Canada always gave me this kind of like a magical vibe where I love the people from Canada. We have a lot of folks from Canada. And so I also know that Vancouver has a lot of great dim sum. It has this kind of mythical vibe to it. And so when I was going through the shop, it almost felt like I was experiencing Canada in some way or shape. We did our shopping and I came back home. I start kind of watching the videos of T&T. There were not that many YouTube videos online. And then that's where I got to really like T&T. So far, the reason I like them is it is well run. It is professionally run. The prices are cheap. The selection is huge. The place is clean. It appeals to novices. And it impresses the experts. Now, when I came back, they did an interview when they were about to open their very first branch in America, which is Bellevue, Washington. The interviewer was asking Tina what they think of it. And Tina actually said that, like, do you think this is a bad idea? And I could fail. And so the interviewer asked Tina why you want to create this first American store. Now, the cons of creating a store in America is logistics, pricing, bureaucracy, permits, especially logistics chain, supply chain. So none of that is easy. And so far, no Canadian grocery chain has ever been successful in America. Tina's answer is what actually prompted me to create this video, which is on the long weekends during American holidays, when they go to the Vancouver T&T location, they see that 1 out of 10 license plates were Americans, and they were processing these American credit cards. And she thought, what better things do Americans have to do than to drive 3 hours from Seattle to Vancouver, eat at some dim sum places, and then go shopping at a grocery shop, eat there, maybe some hot food, and then take a bunch of stuff back to America. What possibly could drive them to do that, except for maybe the quality is good and they really like it. So I like that kind of response, which is you are not looking for product market fit through research, but based on intuition. Just like, this is what I observe, and this is good enough for me as a product market fit signal. She went on to say that they also did market research and so on. But I like how they started with the intuition or observation. And then just like that passion, she told her mom about this in 2012. And her mom is Cindy, which is the founder and amazing woman, was like, this is your chapter. This is not my chapter. And so I really like that answer, where first she showed humility in that she doesn't know it will succeed. And she was one of her worst fears is opening this thing and then it could fail in 3 years. And then the next interview is about how they fail on this big opening. But based on the data now, there's no way they can fail because, I don't know anyone that lined up for a grocery shop. Keep in mind, they have a son, they have 2 daughters, and the daughter became the CEO. So it was a matriarch story where Cindy was the founder, and then they have 2 daughters, and one of the daughters took over as CEO. I like Tina, the current CEO's vibe. I watched the interview like a couple times. And so I am doing this video more to think for myself on why I like it so much. Well, first, you can take a boring market and create amazing things out of it, like grocery shop, right? I should have mentioned this in the beginning. Like, their customer base is Asians. And, Asians are like the most cheap-ass people in the world. And I say that like with kindness. They pick that customer base. If you zoom out and you say like, why are all the luxury goods European and none of the luxury brands is like made in China? So they pick a terrible customer segment. They pick it outside of Asia, which is the correct thing to do. So they pick a very, very competitive market where the profit margin is like 4%. Their customer base is not the one that likes to spend money. They haggle And when I was in the food bar, I literally saw this like old Asian, lady that was like putting all the shrimps. Like they have these bowls and they charge the set price per pound, and they putting just the shrimps into that bowl. I'm just like, yo, don't do that. And so they picked that segment. Yet T&T was able to strive for excellence. And it's a story based on like my mom, Cindy, wanted to create a vibe where mothers want these kind of things. They can get all their groceries while their children is safe playing in the kind of the dining area in the supermarket. I can get all my butcher, all my vegetables, all my meat in one trip. And it is priced competitively, and it's clean, and it's safe. Like they have a very good sensitivity of what the customers want, which is the founder had a really good understanding of what the customers want. This kind of like an intuitive understanding, even if they are like kind of an outsider. Competitive market, really crappy customers, quote unquote, and then have a sensitivity of what the ideal state is, and caters towards people who immigrate to the US and want a taste of their childhood and their homeland. And now it expanded into a specialty store where, according to the stats, 40% of all the shoppers are not Chinese speakers. And they also choose their expansion strategy based on intuition and based on license plates, as opposed to like this humongous and elaborate market research. And they were able to overcome all the logistics details to break into the US. And the finally is, it is a shop. It is this kind of like a spirit focused on excellence. And that's probably why I create the video, is they care about excellence. Now, our startup, focus on real estate. The most boring market there is our customers are investors who are also haggle the hell out of you on everything that you want. I'm not creating it because I did like a lot of competitor research and amazing surveys and It's just based on like, this is my problem, I want to solve it. And whether I want to expand into certain verticals or not within real estate is based on intuition. And finally, I also have this kind of like taste of this is what I think the customers want. This is what I think the future should be. Similar to how T&T is saying that, this is how a good Asian grocery shop should look like. And by the way, I think that it's not just the best Asian grocery shop. It's the best grocery shop I've ever seen for the type of food I have never seen before, which is awesome. Similar to how they do that, we are also saying we are putting a stake on the ground, saying that this is what excellence looks like. And we just strive tirelessly, ceaselessly towards that end. And the last thing is they have humility. Tina did not say that we're definitely gonna succeed. We did all this research. It's just like, I don't know. She talked to her mom in 2012, 12 years before 2024. Okay, 12 years in the making. I think the permit probably took about 5 years, knowing Seattle. And yet it's worth doing, right? It's worth spreading this into the US. And there's a lot of humility. She doesn't know if it will succeed. She is actually afraid they may not succeed. And we're doing the same thing. We don't know what the future holds, but this share for excellence and share for what you really want. And almost there's like similar to the fact that when you walk in, they intentionally put a poster on the wall saying that, this is the origin story of the company, and Jack and Cindy created this company in 1993, and they name it after their two daughters, Tina and Tiffany. Similar to that origin story, they have a purpose behind it. So customer obsession, excellence, and purpose. That's why I really like T&T. Thank you for watching.